All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Listen, if you're looking for the ultimate workflow upgrade for building AI agents, consider this your senior dev masterclass. We are unpacking some absolutely brilliant insights from Google's Shubham Saboo on how the game has completely changed. We are officially moving past the days of writing clunky, manual code and stepping into a world where we deploy production-grade agents in literal minutes, straight from the terminal.
Now let me guess, you've been wrestling with prompt engineering fatigue? Spending hours constantly copying and pasting from SDK documentation, switching context over and over just to get an agent running without it hallucinating buggy code? Look, you are definitely not alone. It used to be a total mess of trial and error, but thankfully, we're going to bypass all of that friction today.
So, here's our game plan to get your first AI agent live. We'll quickly meet your new workflow, run through step 1, which is local setup, hit step 2 for cloud deployment, jump into step 3 for evals and tools, and finally, wrap up by troubleshooting some common developer errors.
Okay, section 1. Let's meet your new workflow and actually escape that prompt engineering fatigue.
You know, back in my day, which, let's be real, in AI years is like 3 years ago, we'd spend entire afternoons writing janky string parsing loops just to coax a simple JSON output from a model. It was, well, a mess of manual loops and frantic copy-pasting. But today, as Shubham points out, the model itself is just table stakes. We are completely moving away from that old frustration to a unified, terminal-first Agent CLI experience. Your real job now is just clearly shaping the problem you want the agent to solve.
So what exactly is this new superpower? Well, the Agent CLI is basically a packaged set of skills built specifically for creating, evaluating, and deploying AI agents right on Google Cloud. Once you install it globally, it automatically gives a coding agent, say Gemini CLI, all the internal tools, code-based knowledge, and SDK understanding it could ever need. It literally cures your coding agent's hallucinations because it hands it the exact blueprint to build things correctly from the jump.
All right, on to step 1, local setup. Let's build our caveman agent.
As your senior dev showing you the ropes here, I promise you aren't going to be writing boilerplate today. To keep things fun, we're building a caveman agent. Basically, an agent that takes highly verbose, complex text and compresses it down into super technical but simple grunts. It's just 3 quick steps in your terminal. First, install the Agent CLI globally. Second, open your coding agent. And third, just prompt it. Tell it, use Agent CLI to build a caveman-style agent that compresses verbose text. And boom, that's the whole shebang. The CLI completely scaffolds all the files, directories, and environments for you automatically. The really crucial point here is that once it builds those files, you literally don't even have to leave the terminal to test it out. You just tell the agent to fire it up locally, and it instantly spins up this sleek localhost web UI. You can start chatting with your caveman agent right there in your browser and even inspect the event logs and state artifacts in real time. I mean, talk about a massive workflow upgrade, right?
Okay, moving right along to step 2, cloud deployment. Let's get this thing into production.
Now, a local test is great for development, but as any seasoned engineer will tell you, a project isn't real until it's actually surviving out in the wild in a production environment. So let's talk Google Cloud. What's absolutely amazing here is that the CLI acts almost like a senior engineer sitting right beside you. You just prompt it for deployment options, and it breaks down the costs and gives you best fit advice. When you tell it to deploy to Agent Engine, it actually requires your explicit approval before spinning up any external services, which means zero surprise billing for you. And the speed? Unbelievable. We're talking 5 to 10 minutes, and your caveman agent is completely live on Agent Engine. And I'm not talking about some basic, flimsy script either. This comes fully equipped with production-ready traces, managed identities, and a playground dashboard directly in the Cloud Console. Next up, step 3, evals and tools. Time for those production-grade extensions. Listen, a real senior dev knows a project isn't finished just because it runs on a server. Back in the day, people would deploy on what? Good vibes and whitespace logs? Yeah, not anymore. Before real users ever touch this thing, you absolutely have to evaluate its reliability. So instead of flying blind, you literally just ask the CLI to write and run your evals. Ask it to generate 20 criteria, and it just runs them against your caveman agent, printing pass-fail logs right there in your terminal. And hey, if something fails, you just ask it how to fix it. And once it passes those evals, you get to extend it. Let's say you want your caveman to read up on the latest AI model news. Easy. You simply prompt the CLI to add a Google search tool. The CLI goes ahead and writes the integration code, injects it, and automatically runs a smoke test. Just like that, your caveman is out there grunting about the latest tech news with full internet access, all from a single prompt. No way, right? All right, finally,
Troubleshooting common errors. These are the senior dev fixes for production reality.
Let's get real for a second. Production is messy. Connections drop, services fail, and agents inevitably get confused when they've been running for hours. So consider this your pro tip cheat sheet. We're going to dive into Shubham Saboo's recommended ADK 2.0 framework fixes for these completely unavoidable errors. We're talking resume agents for network drops, graph-based nodes for forgetful agents, and the intern onboarding method to handle context bloat.
Honestly, the sheer simplicity of this first fix is gonna blow your mind. In a real production environment, a multi-agent workflow might churn away for hours. If a service drops, man, you used to have to restart the whole process from scratch. But with ADK 2.0, you literally just toggle a single flag, is resume true? That's it. The agent perfectly tracks which tools it already ran and picks up exactly where it left off. A real game changer.
Okay, next up, let's talk about the dreaded lazy agent problem. If you rely entirely on prompts by, say, turn 7, an agent is probably going to forget its core rules or just flat out stop using its tools. The fix here? Graph-based workflows. You explicitly separate the flow. The rigid rules, like your compliance checks, those go into deterministic nodes. The dynamic model judgments, those go into reasoning nodes. It gives you the dynamic flexibility of an AI, but with the rock-solid reliability of standard code.
Finally, we've got to tackle context bloat. Look, developers get super excited and dump 5,000 company files into an agent on day one, and then sit around wondering why it's outputting absolute garbage. This quote right here perfectly captures the new intern analogy. I mean, you wouldn't do that to a human being, so why on earth would you do it to your agent? It just leads to crippling context bloat, where the agent is completely paralyzed, unable to figure out what actually matters.
Believe it or not, soft skills are genuinely becoming more important than ever in development. You have to patiently communicate and shape the problem for the AI. Start simple and slow. Let the agent actually interview you to learn your preferences. Shubham even mentions his agent building a soul file. How cool is that? To store his specific personality and preferences over time. Give highly targeted instructions, and please only build complexity when a simple API call won't do the trick.
All right, let's wrap this up. Conclusion: your new superpower.
So, let's review. We have gone from an absolutely blank terminal to a fully evaluated cloud-deployed multi-agent system. You've completely bypassed the heavy friction of the old SDK days, relying entirely on the Agent CLI to do the heavy lifting of scaffolding, deploying, and testing. Now that you have this ultimate workflow upgrade at your fingertips, the technical barriers are basically non-existent. You're no longer fighting the boilerplate, you are simply shaping the problem. So, with the ability to deploy a production-grade agent in under 10 minutes, the real question is, what will you build next?